Hello everyone, I have a exciting game for you today. This one is between former world champion Emmanuel Lasker against an unknown Chinese player named Rudolph L.C. And a little bit about this player. He was a Chinese chess master. He came from a well-to-do family, and he was sent to the United States by the Chinese government in the late 1890s to study abroad. And he played Lasker two exhibition games, 1910 and 1911. So we are going to look at the first game from 1910. All right. Now the game started off as a Latvian counter gambit. Um, oh yes, and Lasker has the white pieces, and C has the black pieces. Okay, so the game started off as a Latvian counter gambit, your favorite opening. And for those of you who don't know what the Latvian counter gambit is, this is it right here. Okay, and basically, black is playing a king's gambit in reverse. All right, so he's a tempi down in the king's gambit. Now, the king's gambit with white doesn't have such a stellar reputation nowadays. But back in the romantic era of chess, gambits were very common, and the king's gambit was the most popular of all of the gambits. Okay, hands down. So uh, it wouldn't be uncommon in those days to see black trying his hand at the same position in reverse here. Before we get to that game, I just want to go over a famous game uh, in the Latvian counter gambit uh, between Joseph Blackburn and a player named Chamier. And this is from a Simon 1885. And that's just to explain some concepts real quick that you can take with you when we analyze the game at hand. So this is going to be real quick. We're only going to go over like the first 10 moves. So here's the position here, and we see that black is trying to basically get entice white to give up his center. All right, so that black can take over the center, of course, and play his pawn to d5 after, for instance, e takes f5. If black had his way, he would be able to. He would have a pawn center just like that. Of course, here it's not feasible because knight takes e5. But just to demonstrate what black is trying to do, let's just play some bad moves or whatever. Okay, black just simply wants to um, play some more bad moves. Black just simply wants to uh, sacrifice the pawn. Okay, uh, in order to take over the center, just like you see here, and then attack white down the open file. So again, just like the King's Gambit principles, black is trying to do the same thing in reverse. It's just a little more dangerous because he's a tempi down here. All right, so if black had his way, he would just have the full center, right? All his pieces developed and ready to go, and uh, just crush white. All right, but white has moves too. So we're gonna look at this game really quick. Blackburn and Charmier uh, from the Melbourne Simon 1885. So we have e4, e5, knight f3, f5. Of course, knight takes e5. Right, grabbing the pawn right away. Main line. Queen f6. All right, so this is already dubious on the part of black. Of course, it's the main line, but one of the reasons why Latvian is not played nowadays or for the last 50 years, especially at top levels, just bring your queen out early like that is a no-go for the most part. Just the exposure of the queen and the danger that it ensues combined with the weakening of the king side is just too much for any player to hold a decent position for long. But anyway, queen f6 does attack the knight immediately. And we can see after d6, the knight is forced back. And now f takes e4. Knight c3 attacking the pawn here. Now I already told you, or showed you rather, what black wants in the position. So it's up to white to keep black from establishing that center. We can see, okay, that black has taken some space from white in the center, right, with this pawn on e4. However, this is at the cost of development, at the cost of bringing his queen out. Okay, if black can have it his way, he would play c6, d5, consolidate the position, keep it closed while he can catch up in development. Then black would have a decent position, right? If he can, say move his queen to g6, play knight f6, okay, d5, c6, bishop e7, and consolidate, then he would just have his space advantage in the center and the open f file, like we showed you, at the beginning of the video. All right, so it's white's job to counteract this. So basically, you want to use the weaknesses in the black position in order to keep black from accomplishing his goals of consolidation in the center. So let's see how white does this. Queen g6, protecting the e pawn. Okay, so it's more time lost shuffling the queen around. All right. f3. Okay, right idea. Blasting open the position while ahead in development and also attacking black's main objective, which is to solidify the center. E takes f3. Black would like to keep things closed. Black can play something like knight takes f6, but he just winds up down material. So for example, f takes, knight takes, bishop d3. Okay, that's no good. Right, getting into this deadly pin here. Or if he just tries to not capture the pawn, e5. And these are lines that have been tried. But white always comes out on top. You can see here, okay, that black is just busted in this position. So after f3, e takes f3, and now queen takes f3. Again, the lead in development. Knight f6, and of course, white is not worried about another queen move and like queen takes c2 because just simply bishop d3 and the development is just too much. Okay, this position is overwhelming for white. The queen is trapped, etc. If he tries to trade queens here, of course, you just turn that down. No thank you. Queen f2. And again, you continue your development after, say, knight f6, then just bishop e2. After knight f6 in the game, bishop d3, natural, powerful move. Queen f7. Okay, queen is forced to move again. White gains more time. Castle. Bishop e7. And here, just bishop g5 was played, and white has a massive lead in development, and eventually went on to win the game. Even stronger is knight b5, attacking this pawn right here. Knight a6, bishop d2, castle, rook a e1. Notice black has not achieved any of his goals. Okay, white is dominant in the center. White has more space in the center, and white has better development. Okay, and it's white who's probably going to benefit off the open files and not black here. Okay, so keep that in mind. This is how white's play will normally look in the against the Latvian Gambit, and this is what it looks like when white gets what he wants in the position. All right, so now we're going to go to our featured game here. Okay, so we've stepped out of our time machine and we're here in 1910. Again, Lasker has the white pieces and C as the black pieces. And now that you've seen the other game, you can contrast the play here. So after e4, e5, knight f3, f5, e takes f5. We have a slight deviation here, and this is one of the main lines also, as opposed to playing knight takes e5, which I would consider the main line. The e takes f5 also will lead to an advantage for white also. And one of the ideas behind taking e takes f5 is basically that often black will overextend itself in the center. Say, for instance, in an attempt to defend the e pawn, you play a move like that, e4, and then that pawn will eventually come under such intense fire in the position that black will wind up compromising his position elsewhere. Right, like so. A simple line could go knight f6, bishop e2, bishop e7, and already white can play moves like this. Okay, g6 is almost forced. That loses. So the king has to move already. Very uncomfortable position for black, right? Just in order to try and in order to maintain this pawn. Again, this is what black would love to do, but it's just not tactically sound. Again, g6 loses on the spot. King e7. Black is already busted here. Right, just by following his natural tendencies. So f5, e takes f5 is a very solid continuation for white also. So in lieu of pushing, many times black will play the simple move d6 and have the idea of following up, capturing this pawn on f5. Lasker played d4, challenging the center immediately. And remember, at this time, Lasker is the sitting world champion. He would have the championship until he would face Capablanca some years later. Longest reigning world champion, 27 years. That's a long time. So d4 is played, and now black pushes with e4. Lasker plays the move bishop g5. Now perhaps knight g5 might have been better. Bishop e7. Black gives up the bishop there. Queen takes e7. And now the knight must move. So black gains time. So this already lets me know that something has went wrong in white's game already. The fact that he has to move his knight to f2 like this. Because again, white wants to be able to tear down the black center, okay, and gain, and also use the lead in development to gain initiative here. He has neither. Okay, he's not going to be able to tear down the center as black has gained time here. So instead of a move like bishop g5 here, knight g5, perhaps more to the point. Bishop takes. And get black to and get some more aggressive play out of white. If bishop g6, knight c3 can continue to be played, and a natural move like d5 will just be met simply by knight e6. Okay, and after queen d7, knight takes d5, and this attack on the c7 pawn makes it impossible for, well, not impossible, but makes it impractical for black to capture there. So a lot of tactics in these positions. So Lasker played bishop g5, bishop e7, takes, queen takes, knight came to f2, bishop takes f5. Again, this loss of time by white gives black a chance to solidify his center. This is one of his main goals. Knight c3, knight f6, bishop e2, castles, knight c4. Notice there's not really enough pressure on the black position, so he's able to consolidate his center. Again, keep this in mind with what you saw in the first game. Bishop e6, castles, knight bd7, knight b5, knight b6, c3. Okay, very slow moves by Lasker here. c3, c6. This is exactly what black wants. Okay, it looks like he didn't even play a gambit. Okay, and he's reversed the position where he has more space in the position and he's ready to attack on the king side of the board, just just in traditional king's gambit, right? It's like as if black is playing the white pieces now. This is exactly what you want out of a Latvian counter gambit, and this is what happens when your opponent plays too passively. Knight a3, and now it's white who's in trouble here. Rook f7, knight ac2, knight d7, queen d2, knight f8. Black is just letting the storm clouds gather before he erupts on white. Knight g6, and finally Lasker decides to attack the center with f3. It's a little too late. I mean, all of black's pieces, save the rook on a8, are ready to participate. Okay, and then on top of that, if this pawn is captured, the knight fits in very well there. Okay, so better is probably just f4 at this point, where white would try to keep the position somewhat closed and utilize this blockade here. Okay, and of course black would open the position at this time since he is stands well placed. So e takes f3, for instance, bishop takes f3, knight h4. This is just a sample line here. This knight right here would be on its way to d3, of course, to exploit the dark squares. And you see black completing his development. You have like a double-edged game here. There's the occupation of e4. And this is just, like I said, just a sample line. And here, the game is up for grabs. And no side can claim any big advantage here. You have a symmetrical position. And again, we spoke about the symmetrical positions and usually who has the initiative in the symmetrical position will stand better. But here it's pretty equal. So instead of f4 here, Lasker played f3. Alright, so here black doesn't have to worry about playing en passant, leading to the preceding variation. See, if f4, black kind of has to open, black has to play en passant here. After all, f5 is a legitimate threat, and this is what what white would want here. But after f3, black is not obligated to take here, and he doesn't. Instead, he hops in with the knight and plays f4. Alright, so you can see the storm cloud, knight f4, I'm sorry. So you see the storm clouds gathering around the white king. Knight d1. Again, more passive play by Lasker here. Knight 6 to h5. F takes e4. So finally, white plays f3 and then captures on his own accord. Queen G5, just threatening mate in one on Lasker. Knight C E3, a very powerful move from the Chinese master here. He plays knight takes G2. Okay, just ripping apart the fortifications of the king. Lasker has to play king H1. If knight takes G2, the queen is hanging. So then, of course, queen takes. Okay, so that's why this knight cannot capture here. If bishop takes, then just simply knight takes H1 with the discovered check. King H1, rook takes, knight takes, and the material doesn't work out for white. Therefore, Lasker had to play king H1. Drops the rook. Rook takes. The other rook comes in. Rook G1. Queen H4. E takes D5. Bishop takes D5. Knight takes D5. And now Queen E4. And Lasker had to resign in 27 moves. So, powerful game. Okay. By the Chinese player. Okay. Albeit the exhibition match. Powerful game. And again, a model game of when things go right in the Latvian Gambit. So again, you can look at this video over. You can see how the Gambit should be played as white and how not to play it as white. So that was a good game over a sitting world champion. Although this is a simultaneous exhibition, still the Chinese player showed great tactical ability here, and took his chances and playing this offbeat opening, and he was able to get the victory. So that is it for this video. Please check my links below. Like and subscribe. Please support my channel via a donation or purchasing one of the DVDs or books that will be related to this opening discussed. So in this case will be the Latvian counter gambit. And that will be it. Any comments, suggestions would be welcome. And I'll see you guys on the next video.